which is another key component I'm a big advocate of talking about, is like that's a high priority focus in the early childhood classroom, right? If not far more important than the cognitive skills. Like those will come, and I try to express to parents, but really if you don't have that social emotional foundation, guess what? The cognitive skills also aren't going to come. And I think sometimes we don't realize how connected those are. We're not going to build the cognitive skills if we don't have a solid social emotional foundation, those key things like the ability to cooperate, to work in a relationship, to work back and forth, to be able to really hear one another, to be able to be resilient, right? And know that we're going to mess up, or we're not going to be good at all things, and that's okay. And that is okay. I'm still valuable because of it. And all of those, if we don't have that, then it is really hard, becomes that much harder to build the cognitive skills on top of it, because you have these holes, and inevitably at some point it's going to fall through and suffer, just like the foundation of a house. If it's not solid, you could build on it, and you can build on it, and maybe it'll be successful for a little bit, but you're going to have a lot of cracks that come in, and a lot of, sort of unstableness and unsteadiness if you have significant social emotional holes. And I think, post-COVID, I think educators are seeing a lot of that in the classroom, because that social emotional component was really impacted and affected, and they're seeing how much that is affecting learning.
Yes.
And so the learning is not really happening when there is so much social emotional that is lacking and that we're not getting. And so then we don't have success in the academic side of it as well. And so I think that is where the focus needs to be, is that social emotional, and that includes relationships, those relational skills and skill building. And that's a key component of our learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's in like like you said, making a mistake and problem solving, and being able to look at a problem, and even if you can't solve it, go to the proper person who can solve it, but also being able to understand that there's a problem even in the first place. And because sometimes they'll go into fight or flight because they don't have those problem solving skills, because they've been fed, the information and not really shown how to really explicitly use it. So absolutely. It just seems like there's just so many benefits, I think, from really incorporating that play. But why do you think giving children freedom sometimes leads to play, but not always deep understanding?
Right. So again, because they are new beings discovering and learning, there is not always that meaningful or intent behind it, right? Sometimes it is, I'm doing to do, and there's not necessarily intention or meaning behind it. And so, yes, there's not necessarily going to be a whole lot of maybe value or valuable learning from that. But I also am a believer that having those moments are important too.
Yes.
If you just want to stack or if you just want to knock down stuff for a little bit, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is some learning in that as well. And I think, again, but it's that like allowing that them to guide it and do what they want. And there is value in that. But yes, if there's not always going to be meaning and intention behind it, because they're little and they're learning and they're discovering, and they don't necessarily know how to do that either yet. And so again, that's where that guided play is important as well, because in a way you're also showing them, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to then eventually take that into their play.